Hey everybody, I'm still alive. I've just been busy the past week or so, and I haven't been able to do anything hobby-wise really. So I don't have any painting updates or anything, but hopefully this weekend I'll get some more orcs done and do more of the 20 Shooter Boys Go, and maybe some more Codex and Blood Angels and whatnot. Before I start, I just want to say thank you to my subscribers. I got some more recently. I think. Not that it's obvious, but it's obvious to me because I get the email notifications. Anyway, I think I went to like 58 or so at the time of making this video, which is on July 28th. Who knows when I actually get up on the on YouTube. But thanks you guys. It keeps me going. Feel free to ask me any questions or message me privately if you want to do that instead of commenting. If you have a question, I'll try to answer it or do a video on it, like I did with the White Scars. Alright. The reason why I have these three codices here is because I did a Fortress Monastery post about Codices and Counts As armies. And I'm all for them. So what I mean is, a codex essentially gives you one army type to play. Dark Angels for the Dark Angels and their successor chapters, Black Templars for the Black Templars, Imperial Guard gives you the Imperial Guard, obviously Tyranids give you those type of alien, Owlbear give you that, etc, etc. But let's face it, the 40k universe is pretty expansive, and it has a lot of other races or a lot of other factions in it that don't have a book for an army for one reason or another. One being maybe that they're not really meant to be in an army on the tabletop because they're a small powerful group, or it's just not easy to make them unique enough, or they wouldn't be popular, they wouldn't sell, whatever. So this is where Counts As come in. Now, my Thousand Sons Per Heresy army, it's a Space Marine army. It uses characters, Counts As characters to represent it, and it uses the Grey Knights Terminator allies to represent Cabal Terminators. That's a Counts As army. It doesn't technically have a codex. I'm not going to try and define a Counts As army because there's many different definitions, but technically successor chapters, like the Dark Angels book has successor chapters that you could play as with color schemes. That's technically a Counts As Dark Angels. You're going to use a Dark Angel codex, well, at least that's what they recommend, but you can use any codex of Space Marines to represent them. It's a Count As. My Blood Reavers, the guy that I showed you with the magnetized backpack, he's going to be a Counts As Black Templar or a Counts As Blood Angel, depending on which army list I'm using. It goes beyond the Imperium. You can use the Tyranny Codex to represent other aliens. Kind of like, I guess, Katashan has, like, the Katashan Devils, or like these weird alien type or really weird beast thingies. You can represent, like, Death World, native species that way. You could also use it to represent anybody who reads the Horus Heresy series, the Planet Murder, where, the Blood Angels had a company that was designated there, and then Sanguinius came with Horus and the Emperor's Children and all of them, and they fought and they killed off, quote unquote, the rest of the species on that planet. They sounded very Tyranid-like as far as how, description. So you can use the Tyranid Codex to represent the Xenos of the Planet Murder, whatever they're called. So you can use stuff like that. You can also use the Imperial Guard Codex, for example. It can represent Traitor Guard very easily. You use Primaris Psychers and Psyker Battle Choirs, or whatever you want to use, a bunch of Ogrins and everything. You just got to pan up a certain way. To go to the Witch Hunters, you can use the Witch Hunter Codex to represent Adeptus Mechanicus, Scutari Legions. You can deal with the Imperial Guard Codex as well, but you have powered, armored, bolter-wielding, essentially Stormtroopers. I know this is a battle, but they get the same stat line as a Stormtrooper, but with better armor and a better gun-ish. And plus you have regular Stormtroopers there, so you can use them to represent elite Scutari and, not quite elite Scutari, Carapace armor, represent stuff like that. You can represent acts of faith by, faith in the Omnissiah or experimental technology, stuff like that. You can also represent AdMech in with the Imperial Guard Codex, obviously. You just would have to convert. A lot of these Counts As armors are based on conversions or custom paint jobs, but a lot of them also do conversion work, like my Adeptus Mechanicus armor I'm going to do my Skitarii armor, which is I showed you that one model who still hasn't had any progress done to him. I'll show you more when I do progress on him in the future, whenever that is. Uses this codex. I'm gonna make them look more Adeptus Mechanicus-y, more Skitarii-like. But you just choose specific things in the codex. You can even use regular special characters and have counts as for that. You can also use this codex to represent Penal Legion, obviously. You can represent Hive Ganger militias, or just Hive Gangers, like just people who a big Hive gang that's essentially the military of the Hive. Let's see what else. That's pretty much the big ones. Oh, Grey Knights. You can use Grey Knights with the Codex itself, or the Grey Knights as allies to represent allies with the Space Marines to represent Adeptus Custodes or Legio Custodes back when they fought in armor and everything, which is what I plan to do, and I plan to make a test model of them in the future as well. But you use the Space Marine Codex with Grey Knight allies to represent. You use pretty much Grey Knights in power armor. Or you don't even have to. You can do it purely in the Space Marine Codex using Honor Guard and a Chapter Master. But my point being is the Grey Knights work well with it as also. You just put a bolter on top of a Nemesis Force weapon, or make a weapon like that with a bolter on top of it, and there you got your counts as Nemesis Force weapon and Storm Bolter for the Grey Knight army, for the Grey Knight war gear. Stuff like that. Pretty much. I'm all for. A lot of players are all for it. It works in tournaments as well, as long as it's clearly labeled. Like my Thousand Suns, for example. You saw my Ahriman, and you guys seen my counts as Sicarius, who I call Kahotep. They stand out a bit from the army, but if you look at them, they can get lost in the army because they're not specific special characters. They don't have a specific look. Like they're not the Sicarius model. The Sicarius model stands out. They are conversions, essentially, kit bashing. So I represent the war gear as faithfully as I could. I mean, my counts as Tigerius, so I call Ahriman, has a Khopesh instead of a staff, but he's using a pointing finger. He stands out. And as long as you make mention of, hey, this is Tigerius and this is Sicarius, and for my Grey Knight allies, my Terminators, who are Grey Knight allies, are painted in my Pre-Archie Thousand Suns colors, of course, not painted like Grey Knights, so they fit with the army. You go, hey, by the way, these are Grey Knight Terminators. As long as you are following the rules and the allies you can take, and you following the rules of WYSIWYG as best you can, and following the rules of counts as, and let your opponent know they really can't be mad at you. And if they're mad, they don't understand the spirit of the game. I mean, even in tournaments, you can have great-looking armies that are counts as. Like you can even try and do like a Harlequin army using the Dark Eldar Codex. Just paint them up like Harlequins. I mean, that's just a stretch, but that's just something that popped in my head. Stuff like that. Essentially, what I'm getting at is counts as armies allow for kit bashing and conversion potential. Like, I'm sure you guys, if you type in AdMech and look up searching images, you'll find a bunch of kit bashing and conversion work there. You'll see people who are using to represent Traitor AdMech, Dark Mechanicum, or using the Chaos Marines Codex, using Obliterators to represent certain things and stuff like that, and that's great. I mean, that works. So it's pretty much limited by your imagination to an extent. Because remember, 40K has a lot of stuff in it. It has a lot of different Xenos races that are minor. It's got a lot of different factions in the Imperium. Oh, another one is the Adeptus Arbitus, which can be represented by using Witch Hunters Codex, because they let their Stormtroopers get shotguns to represent Arbitus, whatever you want to call them. But you can do it in the Imperial Guard Codex. It all depends on what you take. So that's pretty much it. My little rambling here, kind of a ramble on back video. Something to think about. Because there's a lot of great conversions out there, a lot of great painters and converters out there, a lot of people who can do easy conversion, kit bashing work to represent the stuff that they want to represent that doesn't necessarily have a codex. So don't be daunted by the fact that, oh, Custodian Guard has no codex, or Mechanical or the Arbitus have no codex, because with a little bit of imagination, a little bit of thumbing through books, you can find the codex that works best to represent them. That's pretty much it. Until next time, take it easy.